We have a couple of times already used this rule, y is equal to mx plus b. It is the gradient form of a straight line, we call it. Come in quietly, sit down quickly, please. Last lesson, I gave you a graph. Quickly, please, you're the second person talking late. Hurry up. Last lesson, I gave you the graph and we had to work out what the gradient and the y-intercept was so that we could write down the rule in the y equals mx plus b form. Today we're kind of reversing that process. I'm going to give you the rule and we're going to use our knowledge of how to do gradients using rise and run and where a y-intercept is to help us sketch it. This is an alternative sketching method. We have learnt one method already to sketch lines, which was to use a table of values. This method should be faster, but it is a little bit different. So the first thing we need to do is look at the two numbers that we have in our equation. The number that is in front of our x, so this 3 over 2, that is our gradient. And remember that gradient on a graph is a rise over a run. We're going to be using that. The second number, which is a positive 2, that is our y-intercept, which we call the letter b. Now, you won't always have to write all this stuff all over your equation, but just for our first one, just so you know what these numbers represent. Now, let's use that information to put it on our graph. Always, always, always start with the y-intercept. So my y-intercept is this number on the end, it is the 2. All you have to do is go to your y-axis, that's why it's called a y-intercept, because y-axis, and you want to find the number 2 and you want to put a cross or a dot there. Let me make this bigger, there we go. Then this part is a little bit trickier. Now from that dot we want to do our gradient. If our gradient is a fraction, that actually makes it easier for us because a gradient should have a rise and a run. The rise will be the top number and the run will be the bottom number. Okay, so I'm going to rise 3 and run 2 from the dot that I've already made. Okay, that's why you have to start with the y-intercept first. So from that red dot, I'm going to count 3 spaces up. 1, 2, 3, puts me up at the 5. And I'm going to run 2 spaces, which means I'm going to go horizontally 2 spaces to the right because it's a positive gradient, so I want it to be going uphill. I want it to be going this way. And all you need is those 2 dots. If you get those in the right place, you grab your ruler and you join them up, and that is what your line should look like. Okay, so when you're doing the gradient, there's different techniques that people may tell you, tutors may tell you. I think the easiest thing to do is to always rise vertically, rise. If it is a positive gradient, I'll draw a little diagram. So always going to rise vertically. If it is a positive gradient, when we do the run, we're going to go to the right. If it is a negative gradient, when we do our run, we're going to go to the left, and that's what will give us the difference between the positive and the negative side. The only catch to that is if your graph doesn't have enough space. That can cause you a bit more problems, but I'll make sure that on the test at least we have enough space to do it that way. Okay? There may be a couple we'll have to fiddle with in your exercise. So let's try the process again for the second question. Our equation is y equals minus 3x minus 3. The two numbers, minus 3 for the gradient, that's the m, and the minus 3 on the end is our y-intercept. Which one do I start with? The intercept, always, always, always. This number on the end, the y-intercept, we always start with that one. We go to our y-axis and we find a -3 and we put a dot. This time, when I come to do my gradient, not quite so lucky because it's not a fraction. To do a rise and a run, I need a top number and a bottom number. If there is only one number like this, you will always put it over 1 because any whole number can always be divided by 1. So it's going to be -3 over 1 to make it into a fraction. That means from this dot, we're going to rise 3, 1, 2, 3 spaces, and we're going to run 1. But remember, positive means I go that way. This is a -3, which means I need to go to the left. So I need a dot right there. Rise 3, run 1 to the negative side. Use your ruler. Does everyone have a ruler? No? Need some rulers?
Yes, please.
Mr. Patterson, could you grab some out of that drawer for me? Hands up, those of you who need rulers. Oh, guys, come on, this is a graphing topic. Good job.
Mine's snapped.
Mine's shattered.
Same thing. Nathan did it.
My hits on was shattered.
We are going to be graphing a lot for the next 3 or 4 lessons. Make sure you get your rulers, please.
I got more.
All right, let's do the next one. We are going to be practicing the same thing over and over and over because practice makes perfect and it makes everything get a lot easier the more times that you do it. So the next equation is y equals 7 over 2x plus 5. We have m as the 7 over 2 and the b is the 5 on the end. Joey, which one do I always start with?
Start with 5.
I start with the 5, the y-intercept. So I go to the y-axis and I want to find the 5, which is here. Okay, so yep, there, 5. Now this is one of the cases where I'm going to have a little bit of a problem doing my rise from there because I haven't got much space to keep going up. Okay, my rise and my run needs to be a 7 over 2. So I would love to be able to count 7 spaces up here and then 2 spaces across, but I just don't have space. So this is the other option. I can actually go down 7 spaces. So from here, let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 spaces down. I need this to be an uphill slope, which means I need to go 2 spaces to the left to make sure it's going uphill. It kind of reverses the directions of what we had to do before. Noah, what's that?
Do we have to do that?
For this one, you kind of do because we just don't have enough space to go up. Nah, can't just leave it. So make sure, just do a visual check. Yes, that is a positive slope. You know you've gone the right way with doing your rise and your run. And there is our line. Make sure you draw it with your ruler. Make sure you have arrows on the end because it would keep going for as far as we would like it to go.
You lose marks if there's no arrow.
Why do you always ask that? Tricky question. Probably not, but you should. Question 4. Let's do it again. Y is equal to -4/5 is my gradient. That's my m because it's with the x. There's no other number. Riley, what is the b?
0.
Yes, good. So the b, because there's no number there, means that it needs to be a 0. Imaginary little 0 there hanging out on the end. We always start with the y-intercept. So the y-intercept is 0, y-axis, 0 is right on the origin. We have a dot down here. Now looking at our gradient. Our rise is the 4, our run is the 5. We can definitely do this the easy way because we've got enough space there. Remember it's a negative though. So you want to count 4 spaces up and 5 spaces to the left. What was that, Ethan? If we have space, I always do up if I've got enough space to go up, positive to the right, negative to the left. As long as you've got enough space above. I had to do this one differently because I did not have any space here, so I had no choice but to go down in the opposite direction. Okay, rule it up, arrows on the end. More practice, next page, question 5. My gradient is the m, my y-intercept is the number on the end, which is a 1. Starting with the y-intercept, which is 1, we go to the y-axis and we put a dot at the 1. Now my gradient, because it is a whole number, Holly, what do I put it over?
1.
Yes. I make this into a fraction and put a 1 on the bottom. So I'm going to rise 4 and run 1 to the positive side, which is the right. From that green one. Some people count from the origin. You're not counting from the origin. You count from the first dot. You go up 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1 to the right side. Okay, have a try of question 6. All of you individually, see if you can do it, and then I will go through it and you can see if you got it right. Anyone still going on question 6? Everyone had a chance to have a try? So you should have the y-intercept at -1, which is a dot on the y-axis at -1. Then our fraction is to rise 3 and run 5. From my first green dot, up 3, 1, 2, 3, and 5 to the positive side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Did you get it looking like that? Yes? Wonderful. Let's do it again. Question 7. If you know what you're doing, feel free to go ahead. If you got that last one right, you can keep going. Question 7. The -3/2 is the gradient. The y-intercept is the -3. Starting with the -3 on the y-axis, all the way down to -3, put a dot. The rise is 3 and the run is 2, but to the negative side. Means 1, 2, 3 up and 2 to the left. Draw a second dot and rule it up. Was that too fast? Or did you get that one? You got it. You know it, Cash. Anyone done 8 already? Yes, a few people. All right. What is the M? There's no number there.
1.
It's a 1. Good. When there's an X there by itself, the number in front of it would be a 1. And you will need to also put that over 1 because you need a rise and a run. The -1 is the B. So the y-axis, go down to -1, put a dot. Then we want to rise 1, run 1 to the positive side, which is the right. And that's it. Join them up.
I did 5.
All right, before we do that, any problems other than Riley, who's apparently back here at question 5?
No, I mean on the next one.
Oh, on the next page. Oh, you've gone far ahead. Okay, all right, cool. Go on ahead. So guys, we're doing exercise 8. Let's have a look. Question 5.
Minus in front of the 4.
Yeah.
Instead of